Hey everybody, so today we have another draft video and I'm thinking about doing another one of these with corners and then doing another mock draft, which would be mock draft 2.0 in the coming days before the draft. We're only 9 days away till our Google Classroom Zoom draft kicks off, the Skype call draft, whatever it is. It kicks off in 9 days, and I could not be more excited for it. The New Orleans Saints don't have a second-round pick, but this year we do have a first. So it's going to be really nice to finally see us, even though it's only been like a year since we haven't had a first-round pick, but finally see us pick somebody in the first round, because last year was kind of sucky not having a first-round pick. I didn't really necessarily like it, even though we still had a home run draft. Just kind of the initial excitement of having a first-round pick wasn't there. But regardless, today we're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints draft targets, and this episode is going to be based around none other than the lucrative wide receiver position, which this is an extremely wide receiver deep draft, but this is the position that I'm covering in today's video. Whether it be the fact that like Brandon Cooks and Willie Snead and Mark Ingram, players like that, are still, they're not even still on the team, and they still hold spots in Drew Brees' top targeted players since, I think, the year 2016. Whether it be the fact that our QB3 had better receiving stats than our wide receiver 3, I still think we need a wide receiver, even with the addition of Emmanuel Sanders. Those are two big reasons right there. Why are 3 players that aren't even on the team still in the top 10 players of Drew Brees' targets since the year 2017-16, one of the two? Why? There has clearly been a very big drop-off in production as far as the wide receiver core goes, and that is an issue that needs to be addressed beyond just Emmanuel Sanders. I think the extremely big lacklusterness from our wide receiver core was too lackluster to be completely and entirely revamped by one addition. I don't think a first-round wide receiver is quite necessary, but a wide receiver in the draft just makes sense. In this video, we will be covering a first-round wide receiver for the Saints. I know, not too necessary. A third-round wide receiver for the Saints, and a back end of the draft wide receiver for the Saints, which qualifies from the round 4 to about 5, since we have a 4th and 5th round pick. So that just is the basic rundown of the video we're doing here today. The first video, or the first player I would like to talk about, is the one that's actually the cover for this video that you're seeing on the screen right now. Round 1, I have us picking, if we do pick one, Tee Higgins out of Clemson. I know, it's not Justin Jefferson. Well, my boy the Saints Hub pointed out something very interesting to me, and that's that an Eagles rep already stated that if Jay Jets was on the board, they're pretty much going to select him without a doubt. He's pretty much a lock for Philadelphia if he's still on the board. So Tee Higgins really makes perfect sense if the Saints just don't decide to go linebacker in round 1. Higgins had 59 catches for 1,167 yards with 13 touchdowns in 2019. He is a tall, long wide receiver who is a red zone weapon and provides a size mismatch for the NFL. Given his length and leaping ability, he is a dangerous red zone threat. Higgins is a volleyball player style wide receiver who is not a tough wideout to work between the numbers. Teams say Higgins is getting late first round consideration and should go in the early portion of the second round if he isn't a first round pick. With that being said, it's possible that the New Orleans Saints could trade back into the first round for a late and first round pick and an early second round pick, and likely select Tee Higgins if he is there. But who knows? Anyway, he isn't the fastest wide receiver, running a 4.55 40-yard dash, but that doesn't mean he can't be a great NFL wide receiver. At 6'4", 216 pounds, Higgins could be a brutally effective man-to-man possession wide receiver, kind of like a baby Michael Thomas if he puts a few pounds on. This could open the offense extremely. It could open up so many doors with the offense, placing Michael Thomas and Tee Higgins on the outside with speedy boy Emmanuel Sanders manning the slot, where he could have a ton of success. Drew Brees would have an absolute heyday with this addition, no doubt in my mind. So now that we got Tee Higgins out of the way, which would be our first round pick if we didn't go with a linebacker in my opinion, assuming that players like CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, all of them are not on the board at that certain point in time because they shouldn't be. I think that's who we go with. So for round 3 and early round 4, I already said Van Jefferson, which I would love to draft. I'd love to draft him so much. But just for this video, I'll go ahead and switch it up, and I got us selecting Tyler Johnson, a wide receiver out of Minnesota, if we do select a mid-round wide receiver. Johnson grabbed 86 catches for 1,318 yards with 13 touchdowns in 2019. For the NFL, he is not that Brandon Cooks or Tyreek Hill player with extreme speed. He isn't super fast, and he isn't that patient stop-start guy, but Johnson is a skilled wideout who runs really good routes. He has solid natural hands, is dangerous after the catch, and is extremely tough. He has good size and enough quickness to contribute. Johnson could be a solid possessional and number 2 wide receiver. I feel the same way about drafting Tyler Johnson that I feel about drafting Tee Higgins. He could open up the offense so much more, going on the outside along with Big Mike and Drew Brees, having Emmanuel Sanders who is super speedy in the slot. Dream scenario in my opinion. Interesting little tidbit about Tyler Johnson as well. Johnson was also a successful high school quarterback at Minneapolis North High School, throwing 2,606 yards with 36 touchdown passes as a senior. So that could again open up parts of the offense as far as trick plays go. Let's go over some of his individual positives though. He's been tremendously productive over the last 3 seasons. He put his name on a long list of school records. His play strength is reminiscent of A.J. Brown. He recognizes acceleration opportunities to play pass coverage, which is important. He possesses rare ball skills and instincts as ball winner. His basketball background shows when bodying defenders at catch point. He is diligent in working back to his quarterback. He uses tracking and stacking to handle deep catches. He has excellent high point timing and mid-air adjustments. I think Tyler Johnson could be a real playmaker and an extremely smart addition to this offense if the Saints decide to go and draft him, giving Brees a fun new target and also a contributor that really loves the game of football. Tyler Johnson would definitely be a very smart pick, and it's someone that we can draft at round 3 or 4. I definitely think we need to make a run at him if he's still available. If we don't, I'll be pretty doggone disappointed. Let's move on to our last wide receiver, which happens to be the latest wide receiver in the draft. As far as we go, it's a late round pick, so around 4 or 5, if we, invest one of our really late picks in a wide receiver, this dude could be there. That's James Proche. Proche played well enough as a senior to earn an invitation to the Senior Bowl. He caught 11 passes for 1,225 yards with 15 touchdowns in 2019. Proche had a productive junior year with 93 receptions for 1,199 yards and 12 touchdowns. For the NFL, he projects as a slot wide receiver at 5'10", 196 pounds. He is definitely a slot wide receiver size and could easily add another aspect to this offense. What I mean by that is that unlike the other two, he would be in the slot with Emmanuel Sanders on the outside, which would be an interesting offensive look that would likely work very well. His strengths read as follows. He grabbed 209 catches and 27 touchdowns over the last 2 years alone. He stacks and shields coverage from anywhere on the field, which would benefit Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. He blocks out and extends to catch on short throws. He has very good win rate against contested catches. He loves the challenge of 50-50. He has calm eyes, which keeps corners guessing when the ball goes deep, or when the deep ball goes up, His ball tracking and late adjustments are special. He has preposterous ball skills and instincts. He maintains leverage to create expanded passing bucket to deep boundary. He is a last-second space creator to the back shoulder. He's able to make good one-handed circus catches, and he has good hands as an option to play punt returner. So I think he's pretty much a really good all-around player, someone that we could really use to put in the slot. In that case, that Sean Payton wants Emmanuel Sanders to really be our 100% true number 2 wide receiver. I think he's capable of it. I think he's definitely above the skill level of a number 2 wide receiver. I think he can play wide receiver number 1 at many places, but I think if we put him in the slot, he'd be easily forgot about and break away a lot more than if he was a wide receiver number 2, simply because of how fast, smart, and intelligent he is overall. But a player like James Proche, if we do want to keep Emmanuel Sanders on the outside, could really be a beneficiary to the New Orleans Saints. So let's get over a little recap. Round 1, we have Tee Higgins. from Clemson. Number 2, we got Tyler Johnson from Minnesota. And number 3, we have James Prochet from SMU. Those are the 3 wide receivers I have us taking at various, round points. Just, trying to spark some discussion. These videos aren't just me learning or trying to teach you guys. It's me learning too. I'm learning so much about the draft simply by doing research and presenting these videos to you guys, and I hope it's doing the same for you. That's why I'm being so open and so inconsistent with who I want us to pick. You've heard me say Patrick Queen, Kenneth Murray, Justin Jefferson a million times. You never heard me say anything about Tee Higgins. There's some players that I'm just going to be throwing in here and there, to really spark up debate and really get us to understand more prospects, not just the hot prospects. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fancy stuff. I really appreciate you guys stopping by, and I'll see you boys in the next one. Adios.